Let me tell you about the most tragic way to die. And it has nothing to do with age or sickness or some accidents. The single greatest tragedy is getting to the end of your days and realizing that the best of you, your most important work, your most profound contribution was left inside. It is the tragedy of an unused potential, the tragedy of dying with your music still in you. Inside you right now is a forest of ideas, businesses, books, and contributions that the world is desperately waiting for. But for so many of us, that entire forest feels locked inside a single unplanted seed. Have you ever felt that? That deep, nagging feeling that you are packed with potential, but you are still sitting on a shelf, waiting for the right moment, the right soil, the right person to come along and plant you so you can finally grow. If you have, then this is for you because you are a seed and the world needs the forest inside of you. Feeling like an unplanted seed has to be one of the most frustrating human experiences. It is the feeling of dormancy. You watch others around you sprouting, growing, and bearing fruit. Their leaves are green, their branches are reaching for the sun, and you are still sitting there as a seed, a tightly packed promise with no visible proof. You know what you are capable of. You can feel the blueprint of the tree you are meant to become. But on the outside, there is nothing to show for it. And it creates this quiet anxiety, right? Fear that your season will pass and the potential locked inside of you will dry up and go to waste. I know this feeling all too well. For years, I felt like a seed lying on a foreign soil. I had left my home in Ghana to study in Morocco, a place where I knew no one, and the language and culture were completely different. It was a time of immense learning, and my imagination was stretched in ways I couldn't have predicted. But it was also a time of idleness. I was absorbing and preparing, but I wasn't producing anything. It felt like I was being filled with all this knowledge and experience with no outlet to release it. I was a seed being enriched, but still unplanted. And that feeling stayed with me even when I returned home. When I came back to Ghana, that feeling didn't just disappear. The potential was there, but the platform wasn't. So I started making what I call small deposits. I joined Royal House Chapel International. I started teaching at the Foundation School of Discipleship. I was also part of the Father's Love project team, where we visited senior high schools and the prisons, sharing and teaching the Word of God with anyone who would listen. These were small, unpaid, often unseen acts. But every time I shared, every time I taught, it was like a tiny root breaking through the shell of the seed. That period of an unseen work wasn't a waste. It was the hidden, essential process of germination. That's where I learned the truth. Potential isn't released by planning, it is released by planting, even in the smallest patch of soil you can find. But many of us remain unplanted, not because we lack potential, but because we are held back by invisible barriers. These are barriers that keep young Africans and young people everywhere from planting their seed and releasing the forest within. And today, we are going to dismantle these barriers because once you understand what is holding you back, you can finally break free. The first and most powerful barrier is what I call the fear of unfamiliar soil. For so many young people across our continent, life has been a school of survival. You think about making it through the month, finding a stable job, securing the basics. Your entire mind is consumed by one question: how will I survive? And look, that is an understandable question. Life has taught us to think this way, but it is also a cage. When you are in a survival mode, your brain is literally wired for scarcity. It actually shrinks your ability to think long term, to take risks, to create. You don't plant a seed for a forest when you are just trying to find your next meal. So instead, you look for soil that feels safe and predictable. You look for a job that pays the bills, even if it crashes your soul. You follow a path that is secure, even if it leads nowhere you truly want to go. You are afraid to step into the unfamiliar soil, the soil of entrepreneurship, the soil of art, the soil of leadership, because it feels uncertain. And you believe that failure there isn't a lesson, it is a catastrophe, it is something you can't afford. You have to flip the question. You have to move from asking, how will I survive? To asking, what am I here to deposit? This isn't just a change of words, it is a revolution in your thinking. You have to understand a profound truth that changes everything. You are not just here to get by, you are here to deposit something the world is waiting for. Our continent, Africa, doesn't need your survival. Our continent needs your deposit. It needs the ideas, the solutions, the art, and the leadership that only you can bring. When you shift from survival mode to contribution mode, challenges stop looking like a threat and it starts looking like an invitation to grow. You begin taking small, intentional steps that aligns with your purpose, not just your need. It is a conscious decision to believe you were made for more than just breaking even. You were made to plant something. You have to decide that your contribution is more important than your comfort. When you make that decision, when you really commit to it, the fear of unfamiliar soil starts to lose its power. You realize something profound. The richest, most fertile ground for growth is often the very ground that scares you the most. Now let's talk about the second barrier. The second barrier is lack of nourishment. And the number one poison that will absolutely drain your soil and kill your growth is comparison. In a world where we are all connected 24/7, you are constantly bombarded with the highlight reels of other people's life. You scroll through your phone and you see someone else's tree already tall and full of fruits. You see their success, their platform, their apparent ease, and you look at your own little unplanted seed and feel a wave of panic wash over you. A voice whispers, you are behind, you are failing, you are not enough. And that voice is relentless. Here is the destructive lie of comparison that we all fall for. You are not comparing your reality to their reality. You are comparing your messy, complex, behind the scenes journey to their curated public performance. You see the harvest, but you didn't see the years of tilling the soil, pulling weeds, and watering in the dark. You didn't see the failures, the rejections, the nights they wanted to quit. Comparison is logically unfair and emotionally exhausting. It makes you look at their lane instead of focusing on your own. Instead of nourishing your seed, you waste precious energy wishing you had their trees. Let me be clear about something. Inspiration and comparison are not the same thing. Inspiration says, hey, that's possible for me too. I can do it. If they did it, I can do it too. It feeds your growth. Comparison, on the other hand, says, because they have that, I am less. Because they succeeded, I am failing. Because they are ahead, I am behind. Comparison is a toxin. It will poison your motivation and try to convince you to become a copy of what you see winning. But the world doesn't need another copy. It needs your unique, authentic contribution, your originality. The fix is to build your own internal scoreboard and practice disciplined focus. Stop measuring your work against external things like followers, status, or what you think someone else has. Define what success means for you on your own terms. Your scoreboard should track what you can control. Did I take one step today to plant my seed? Did I learn something new today? Did I act with integrity? Did I make one small deposit towards my purpose? These are the metrics that matter. These are the things that actually move you forward. You also have to learn to distinguish between seasons. Some people are in their harvest season. Their tree is producing fruits. Others are in their planting season. They are putting seed in the ground, watering and tending to the soil. And some people are in a winter season, a necessary time of rest and hidden preparation. Your season is not their season. Trying to force the harvest when it is your time to plant will only lead to frustration and burnout. Your job isn't to have their fruits. Your job is to faithfully nourish the seed you have been given in the season you are in right now. Unfollow the accounts that makes you feel inadequate. Protect your mind like you will protect the most fertile soil, because it is. Your mind is the soil on which your seed or where your seed will grow. Now we come to the third barrier, and this one is the trickiest of all. This is the barrier of waiting for the perfect gardener. This is the paralyzing belief that you need someone else's permission to begin. We grow up in systems that teach us to wait for approval. You wait for the teacher to call on you. You wait for the boss to promote you. You wait for the investor to fund you. You wait for the mentor to discover you. You are a seed waiting for a gardener with a perfect plan, a guaranteed outcome, and a golden watering can. You are waiting for someone to come along and plant you in exactly the right way. This mindset can leave you waiting for the rest of your life. You tell yourself you are not ready. You are not qualified. It is a bad idea. That you don't have enough experience. I can't start because I don't have a degree. I can't lead because no one gave me a title. I can't build because I don't have the funding. I can't write because I'm not a real writer. I can't create because I'm not an artist. These are all just sophisticated ways of waiting for permission. It is actually the fear of failure disguised as being careful. It is perfectionism masquerading as prudence. We want someone else to sign off on our dreams so that when it fails, it is not entirely our fault. We can't blame them. But that is not how growth works. That is not how seeds become trees. The solution is this: you have to become your own gardener. You have to give yourself permission. The truth is, faith is taking the first step even when you can't see the whole staircase. You really don't need a massive platform to start planting. You don't need a degree or $1 million. You just need to start. The power is in starting small. He who is faithful in little will be faithful in much. So you have to start small. That is the secret to momentum. A single small action taken consistently is infinitely more powerful than a grand plan that never happens. Writing a book begins with one sentence. Building a business begins with one customer. Changing a community begins with one conversation. Launching a movement begins with one person brave enough to speak up. Don't despise these small beginnings. They are not insignificant. Each small step, each small deposit is an act of faith. It is you telling the universe, telling God that you believe in the seed that you are carrying. It reinforces your identity as a creator and not as a waiter. It actually moves you from potential to action. And that is where everything changes. When I returned to Ghana, I didn't have a platform. I didn't have a book deal or a speaking invitation. I had a seed and a conviction that it needed to be planted. So I started making small deposits. I didn't have a stage, so I started teaching in small groups. I didn't have a massive following, so I began visiting schools and prisons, sharing what I knew with anyone who would listen. You always have to share and serve the people, share your gifts wherever you find yourself. Don't wait for the perfect condition. They are never coming. The day you plant the seed is not the day you eat the fruit. That is not how nature works. Plant it anyway. Plant it in the small patch of ground you have right now. And trust that the growth will come. Trust that if you are faithful in small things, you will be given greater things. That is the law of life. So let me give you a framework to move from unplanted to planted. This is the shift that changes everything. There are 3 steps. They are simple, but they are powerful. Step 1, shift your question. Stop asking, how do I survive? Start asking, what do I deposit? This one question change rewires your entire approach to life. It moves you from scarcity to contribution. It moves you from fear to purpose. Write this down. Put it somewhere. You see it every morning. Make it your mantra. Let it shape how you think about your day, your work, your future. Step 2, build your internal scoreboard. Define success on your own terms, not society's terms, not your parents' terms, not social media terms, your terms. Track the things you control: effort, integrity, learning, small deposits. Stop measuring yourself against other people's trees. You are not competing with them. You are rather competing with who you were yesterday. Did you grow? Did you learn? Did you move closer to your purpose? That's what matters. Step 3, take one small action today, not tomorrow, not when you are ready, not when you have more money or more time or more confidence. Today, call one person, write one page, have a conversation, plant one seed in one small patch of soil. That single action is the beginning of momentum. That is how you go from being a seed to becoming a tree. And that is how you go from potential to impact. Which of these 3 barriers have been holding you back the most? Is it survival thinking, keeping you focused only on getting by? Is it comparison, making you feel like you are not enough? Or is it waiting for permission, keeping you paralyzed and waiting for someone to validate your dreams? Comment below and let me know. Because once you name it, you can dismantle it. Once you identify the barrier, you can break through it. But there is one more thing you need to understand before we finish. This isn't just about you. This isn't just about your personal growth or your individual sources. That forest inside of you isn't just a dream. It is a huge responsibility. A responsibility to yourself, to your community, and to our continent. Africa is rising. Our continent is waking up. But it will only rise to the height of the vision and the contribution of its people. We don't need more people who are content to survive, who are just getting by, who are waiting for someone else to fix things. We actually need a generation of planters. We need a generation of creators, a generation of leaders and innovators who are brave enough to release the forests locked within them. We need people like you. Just think about what your contribution could mean. The business you could build could create jobs for dozens of people, maybe hundreds. The book you could write could inspire thousands, maybe millions. The community you could lead could transform a neighborhood, a city, a nation. The act you could create that could change people's hearts and how they see the world. The mentorship you could offer could change the trajectory of someone's entire life. None of that happens if you stay unplanted. None of that happens if you wait for permission or listen to the voice of comparison or stay trapped in the survival mood. You were not made to survive. You were not made just to get by, to just make it through, to just exist. No. You were made to plant something. You were created to make a difference. You were made to create, to lead, to contribute, to reign, to have control, to dominate, to grow. That is not arrogance. That is truth. That is your design. That is why you are here, to have dominion in your domain or your area of gifting. So stop waiting, stop comparing, stop surviving, and start planting. Start today. Start small. Start now. Take that one action. Plant that seed. Release that forest. Because the world is waiting for only what you can bring. Your community is waiting. Your continent is waiting. And time is not on your side forever. Every day you wait is a day that forest stays locked inside. This is your moment. This is your season. Make the shift from unplanted to planted. Make the shift from potential to purpose. Make the shift from waiting to doing. Subscribe to this channel for more content like this that will help you break through the barriers and release your potential. Share this with another seed who needs to hear this. Let's build a generation of planters together. Let's plant forests across our continent. Let's change the world one seed at a time.